Hello there, everybody. Welcome. This is my presentation on obesity, so let's get started. So, first off, I think it's important that we define and help people understand what it really means to be obese. And the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Disease, they state that the term obesity or being obese refers to one's body weight that is greater than what is considered normal or healthy for a certain height. They can explain it better than I can. Um, and so down here I have a chart of actually what it means to be obese. So in order to figure that out, you actually have to calculate your body mass index, which there's different ways you can do that. The easiest way is to just go online and you just type in your height and your weight, and then it gives you a number. So I actually went ahead and did that for everyone, and I'm 6'4" and 180 pounds, and that came out to a 21.9. So if you look down at this chart down here, 21.9 is within this range, which would mean I would be considered, having a normal weight for my height and weight. So that is kind of how obesity is measured. So following that, obesity is something that is so prevalent in this country, and so I just wanted to share the costs. So back in 2008, the CDC reported that the obesity-related medical care costs were about $147 billion. Billion's a big number. And that was in 2008. So fast forward 6 years, and then this alliance called the Stop Obesity Alliance published a paper and did a research and actually found out that both directly and indirectly, obesity has, many different effects on the economy. And anyway, it showed that in 2014, they had a total cost of $1.4 trillion to the healthcare system in this country. And then I wrote down here, I found out that, this is in 2020, so not too long ago, that the U.S. spends roughly $3.8 trillion on healthcare alone. So $1.4 trillion of that is both directly and indirectly related to obesity. And then down here, this is a more recent graphic that I was able to find on their website. And they have it, so it says 1.4 trillion up here. But as of more recently, it's upwards of that, closer to $2 trillion. And then it has that listed next to other things that our country spends money on. Wow, I blanked on the word. It's not just age specific, but it's really something that can affect everyone at every age. Okay, now we're on the right side. Okay, so obesity is something that also affects different genders. And, we live in a time where there might be more than two genders considered, but these researchers that I found consider both males and females. So I'll just stick with that. Anyway, the Kaiser Family Foundation, they analyzed this survey that is done by this organization, and they found that in 2020, 30.6% of males and 32.1% of females in the United States were considered obese. And then I found something that was interesting is usually when I think of people being obese, I just think of them eating a lot and not exercising. But while doing this project, I found out that obesity affects both men and women differently and not just genetically. It can occur because of ideals in body shape, the workplace, and ethnicity. And this coalition up here, the Obesity Action Coalition, goes on and talks about how there's dieting programs, and most of them are suited towards women because women seem to be more driven to lower their BMI or to lower their body fat, and there aren't as many dieting programs targeted to men because men don't seem to be as worried about this as women are. And men usually get their fat located in one spot on their body, and women have it more located in other parts of their body. And so it really affects both men and women differently. And so it's not anything that we can really control, but it's something that we can see all over today. And with that, we can see that on a socioeconomic, from a viewpoint socioeconomically, we can see that if one is poor, their likelihood of being obese is much higher. And I think that has to do with what is called a food desert, which we've learned about, which is just an area that doesn't have access to fresh food. And if there is access, it's much more expensive, and those that have the money can buy it. So if you are poor and don't have, as much money, it's harder to find food that is healthy, and so you are usually stuck with buying fast food or chips and stuff that you can buy from the store, just the local grocery store. And so we can also see that being obese and being poor leads to both people being more sedentary, which increases the risk of getting diabetes, which is what my next slide is actually on. There's many different diseases, like we talked about earlier, how obesity, both indirectly and directly, increases the cost of how much money the government is spending on healthcare, and that's because being obese can lead to people having diabetes, cardiovascular disease, kidney disease, even increasing their risk of getting cancer. And on this graphic over here has many more. These are just ones that kind of stood out to me. And so it's kind of scary to see all these, but because you would think that being obese wouldn't necessarily attribute to, getting another disease, but research has shown otherwise. And so the solutions, there's many different solutions, and those are debatable. Some that I just put on here. So primary prevention is maybe in schools. We all know there's health classes at school, but maybe like a reformation of those to more focusing on that prevention, not necessarily just what, how many carbs are in, something, or how to calculate that, but how to actually apply that to our lives and how to actually be able to live a healthy life. And I also put that after a video we watched this semester, the government could subsidize the cost of vegetables that aren't necessarily grown because it's expensive to do so, and the farmers aren't getting paid by the government to grow them. So if the government came in from that direction, they could lower that for us on this end, making it more affordable to buy. So secondary prevention would be screening the population. You can do that genetically, look at their background, their family tree history to see who is more likely to become obese. And then the tertiary prevention being those who are affected by this and are looking for solutions. They can get gastric bypass and bariatric surgeries to help remove the fat from their body or to limit the capacity of their stomach so they can't eat as much. Anyway, obesity is something that is affecting this country, and I know that we can, overcome this. It's just going to take time. And these are my references that you can look at, and I thank you for watching this video, and I hope everyone has a great rest of the semester and does a good job on their video as well. Thank you for watching. Bye.